I know we just did a different patchwork project, but the winter solstice is almost upon us, and I think colorful patchwork projects make for really cheerful gifting opportunities. I wanted to say that this is something you can finish in a day, but in reality, this took me 3. This depends a lot on how extensively you embroider though, and whether or not your body decides to hit you in the face with an ill-timed flare-up. Nevertheless, this is Victorian crazy patchwork, or crazy quilting, and I think it is a lot of fun. It was traditionally made using scraps of silk and more precious materials, but my workroom is full of cotton and linen scraps, and they work great too. I will leave a link in the description to a pamphlet from 1884 should you wish to explore this subject further. We will start with a sturdy base layer in the shape that we want, onto which we arrange and fold under our teeny tiniest of scraps that are, too small for anything else, but my trash goblin mind thinks they are too big to be chopped up into pillow stuffing just yet. To avoid having pins stabbing us at every opportunity henceforth, we'll then go through and stitch our seams down any which way you fancy. The main part and really fun bit is taking your patchwork at this stage and just covering it shamelessly in embroidery stitches and colors of all sorts of different flavors and variations. This can be a great way of using up small amounts of leftover embroidery floss from other projects if you have that, or if you find a treasure trove of embroidery floss secondhand and don't really know what to use it for. The Victorian pamphlet even mentions scrap silk as the most budget-friendly option back then, most likely referring to leftover lengths of silk warp sold from weaving mills. Most often, different colors and stitches were the go-to approach, but if that doesn't vibe with you, I did also find an excellent example of a quilt made up entirely in yellow feather stitch embroidery, which does give a really nice look as well. This would also be a really fun way to show off small projects I often don't know what to do with, but also don't want to just throw away, like embroidery samples, test pieces, and practice experiments. They all fit in with projects like these. Unusual for me, I am trying to keep my work to only a handful of colors this time, red and green chief among them, as a nod to the evergreens and berries we have been bringing indoors to cheer up our homes in the darkest time of the year for thousands of years. But yeah, just like I think samples and practice pieces are great for patches in Victorian crazy patchwork, I also think this is a great place to practice or play with stitches and stitch combinations, like French knotberries and lazy daisy leaves. This one turned into the easiest suggestion of holly I have ever done. In short, I just think projects like these provide us with an excuse and an invitation to play, something I think we all need more of in our lives. When we have overindulged our embroidery fancy and feel like the piece is done, we can either stitch it up as is or line it. This one is a gift, so I want to line it with some of the fun quilting fabrics Spouse has been gifting me. Just maybe don't tell them that the first time I used it was to make something for someone else. The edge ribbon was a piece of scrap ribbon used to tie up some ribbon that I bought, just the right length for this lucky project. I feel like I am continually at risk for scrap busting a little too close to the sun, but it really is so satisfying to use up even tiny pieces like these. A little linen tape to bind off the last of the edges. And I have suddenly inherited quite a few of these little snap closures, so why not use one of those as our last finishing touch? And if you're thinking that I've done this before, just in a larger format with different stitches, you would be right. I really do think these projects are great little scrap busters and something fun to keep my hands busy and my scrap pile maybe a little bit more manageable. Hopefully. Whether those projects are big or small. Thank you so much for watching this scrappy little video. Subscribe if you haven't already, or join my amazing supporters over on Patreon if you feel up for that. they do get a little extended cut special, usually goofy cat footage or other bloopers. I also have YouTube memberships activated if you want to get new videos a little earlier, but these are the same cut that go live to everyone later. Thank you again. I couldn't do this without you watching what I create, and I hope to see you again in 2025.